The information provided on this show does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice. Instead, all information on this show is for general informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for legal advice, and we recommend viewers consult an attorney for specific legal matters.
At 11 a.m., even after a big strike on Iran. Wow, we'll talk about that in a moment. But we're here at 11 a.m. and it's made possible by our fantastic sponsors who truly offer the best services in South Florida. They've been with us for 15 years, as long as we've been doing this on the radio and on YouTube. And it's including our diamond sponsor, Best Roofing, and they are the best. So again, I'm here with Eric Glazer. He is board certified by the Florida Bar in condominium and plan development law. Eric's law firm, Glazer & Sachs, has offices right here in Hollywood and in Orlando. And we're here each week to answer all your calls and questions about the issues that make life in your condominium or HOA or co-op absolutely crazy from 1 minute to the next. And we'd love to get the lines going early. Give us a call, and it's toll-free in the studio, or you can ask a question in the chat box. The number is 717-GLAZER-8. Again, that's 717-GLAZER with a Z8, 717-452-9378. And again, you can also ask a question in the chat box. A lot of people call and ask a question.
Yes, they do. Good morning, everybody. If you're a fan of the show, don't forget to subscribe to two things. Of course, the first, the Condo Craze and HOAs channel on YouTube. Certainly, you can watch the show live. But we built up an amazing library of 200 and I think 5 different shows at this point. The number of hits that we're getting on these shows, Karen,
Woo!
Incredible.
Love it.
A lot of people, perhaps just around the entire state of Florida, watch these
It's helpful
all the time. Very, very helpful. So you can watch it at your convenience. And of course, subscribe to our email list at condocrazeandhoas.com. By joining each week, you're going to get announcements about the show, our blog, our free seminars, our newsletters, updates on the law, and a whole lot more. And everybody, don't forget, Karen, I stole your line, but you can also follow the show on Facebook, TikTok, Apple, Spotify, and we also do a blog that can be found every Monday at condocrazeandhoas.com.
And we're on Insta.
Yes, except we're
not on TikTok.
We're not on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
We're not on that Chinese propaganda network, of course. All right, on this very slow news day, all right, let's get the fun stuff out of the way first. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers for winning their second consecutive Stanley Cup. Pretty amazing, right?
They're already talking about a three-peat.
A three-peat. Well, they might. That team is pretty amazing. Really
so as we
incredible.
sit here, they're having a huge party.
Yes, parade's in Fort Lauderdale today. I hope some of you get to go. I hear some thunder out there.
Yeah.
So that might put a damper to it, but it should be a lot of fun.
You know, the Canada has got like a dozen teams, right? And in Florida, we have no ice except for ice agents.
Right.
And we win. The Lightning won 2. The Panthers won 2.
30-year drought for Canadian teams to win the Stanley Cup. It's incredible. It's amazing. Now I'm just wishing that the good Lord would only do the same for my New York Rangers. Before my time expires on this earth, I need to see the Rangers have a repeat or even one. It's been since 1994. That would be much appreciated if you're listening, Lord. All right.
The Lord's been rather busy lately for him to do something about your Rangers.
Hockey, that's for sure. Yesterday was one of those days that I think you're going to remember for the rest of your life. You know, you get one of those days every maybe 10 years. I think yesterday was one of those days. And of course, we're talking about Trump and our military taking out 3 nuclear sites in Iran while working in conjunction with Israel. And I'm sorry, even if you're not a fan of Trump, why in the world would you not support this? I can't get it. because Iran may have been 6 months away from a nuclear weapon instead of 1 month away.
Well, the
That's why you're not going to
IAEA,
support it?
the IAEA went in
Right.
and said they're 60% there,
Okay.
which is like
So they got to get to
need-
90%.
and it's like nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Okay. So big deal. They're not a month away, so they might be 6 months away.
No, they were
That's why you
close.
might be against this?
They didn't have a weapon,
Right.
but a lot of people were like, well, this smacks of Iraq. They were looking for the yellow cake and the weapons of mass destruction, and
This is confirmed that they're on their way. The bottom line is that they're on their way, and they would not stop, no matter how many chances we
Right.
said, just stop enriching uranium. They wouldn't do it.
they said it's their right.
Right. That's what they said. Okay. Well, maybe it's not your right when you continue to chant death to the United States and death to Israel. This is a regime since 1979, when I was a kid. I mean, think about it. I was 12 years old at the time. I was actually at the parade in New York City, the ticker tape parade, when the hostages were returned.
Oh, boy.
I'll never forget it. What
That
I do remember about it is it must have been about 5 degrees. It was absolutely freezing.
So that was the Carter thing, but Reagan got him, right?
Reagan was actually it was an amazing documentary if you ever
79,
get to
80.
see it. Yeah. Reagan gets sworn in and then the hostages take off. It's pretty amazing. But again, it's a regime that since 1979, when they took American hostages for 444 days, they've done nothing but toy with the United States time and again. They've been the world's leading sponsor of terrorism for over 50 years. And no American president did a damn thing about it, ever, until yesterday. And thank God he did. Can you imagine Iran with a nuclear weapon? You think they toyed with us before?
No.
What would they do when they actually have a nuclear weapon?
Well, someone's going to give it to them, though. You got North
Yeah,
Korea.
that's
You
what
got
they're
all kinds of
threatening.
weird
Yeah,
people.
I wouldn't go down that route. But Trump begged them to stop enriching uranium. He welcomed them to make peace. They refused. He welcomed them into the international community. Nope. All they wanted to do was enrich uranium. I think we all know why. So he had no choice. Great job, President Trump.
By the way, someone writes, the first two bunker busters were nicknamed Archie and Meathead.
Really?
It was Midnight
hysterical.
Hammer, Operation Midnight Hammer.
Well, great job, President Trump. Great job, United States military. Great job, Israel. And I, for one, am so for what happened last night. Very proud of what we did yesterday. Way to go, United States.
It was, and you saw the White House. When you look at the White House from outside, there's
Right.
a huge flag.
In front.
And the president will say, God bless God.
Right.
God bless America. God bless Israel.
It was
God
amazing.
bless
It
the
was
Middle
fantastic.
East.
Incredible.
He just wants peace. He's
Yep.
hoping this is it, one and done.
New sheriff in town.
Yeah,
Bottom line.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, peace through strength. So as we all know, we're already in the midst of a hurricane season. And once again, there's a prediction out there. I think they do this every year, though.
They do.
That the season's activity is going to be well above normal. The weather brought to you by Home Depot, right? Every year it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. Go get your supplies.
That is such a
Right.
useless thing. Well, it'd be 13 to 17 named
Ridiculous.
storms.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I could do this.
And then...
And in landlocked Colorado, that's where they come up
Right,
with it.
exactly.
Colorado University.
And then when their figures are off, they go, wait a minute,
yeah.
we're revising the figures.
Right.
Then what kind of a prediction? Well, anybody could revise the figures.
Well,
right?
I hate to tell the west coast of Florida, but it looks like it's going to be another one of those Gulf
really?
situations where the East Coast, for some odd reason,
You know, who the hell knows, right?
We hope
I
so.
don't even pretend to know what Mother Nature's going to do months in advance. They do, and they never get it right.
no, and there's been so many hurricanes over the last few years. Our insurance prices and our homes and condominiums are the highest in the country.
Yeah. Well, remember last week somebody phoned in and they wanted an update on the 2 programs that the state of Florida had started in order to potentially help people out with these high costs. So let's start talking about them a little bit this morning.
Oh yes, good.
Yes, you have the MySafeFlorida home program.
Is this
okay?
what your
home
blog's gonna be about, or you're not-
Yes, well, this will be blogging about tomorrow as well.
Okay.
So what's the MySafeFlorida home program? That's different than the condo program. So that was established in the 2022 legislative session, and it wants to assist eligible homeowners, not condo owners. This is for homeowners. And it offers complimentary wind mitigation inspections and provides wind mitigation grants if owners do things to fortify their homes against storms. And they can potentially reduce their premiums by obtaining this wind mitigation inspection. Then they make these repairs, and then their insurance rates are supposed to go down. They can change roofing materials, the shape of the roof, storm shutters they can attach, hurricane clips, all these different things. And the homeowners who have undergone a wind mitigation inspection, you could qualify for certain grants from the state.
Nice.
Yeah, and the Florida contributes $2 for every $1 you spend fixing up your home with these wind mitigation credits, up to a maximum of $10,000. That's what Florida will contribute. And it helps to, recover all the costs that you're paying for your house.
Hey, I think prevention is always the way, right?
Absolutely.
Prevention is far less
Sounds
expensive.
great, right?
Yeah,
Sounds fantastic.
What's the status of this?
You don't want to know.
Oh, God.
So I called the state on Wednesday, and according to the state, no additional funding has been approved, and no new applications are being accepted.
Why?
So, as they say in Brooklyn, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about
With
it.
an
At least for now. At least for now. We'll get back to that in a
But
second.
there was a separate state program for condos,
Yes,
right? Especially
there
in
was.
South Florida.
Correct. So there's a separate state program for condos, and again, the home program was MySafeFlorida home program. Now we have the MySafeFlorida condo pilot program, and that's similar in that condos you're also able to get an inspection to see how you can get mitigation credits, and the state would contribute a maximum of up to, big number here, $175,000 to make modifications to the condo that would also reduce your insurance premium.
So I don't like the word pilot in there.
Right.
Yeah. So what's the status of this program, and how can our condo listeners apply?
Okay. So just like the home program, the state is no longer accepting applications for the condo program as well. But from what I've heard, apparently the new budget has some funds set aside for these programs.
But he hasn't signed it yet. What's going on with that?
So all of this is in a state of flux. I can't tell you. I'd love to tell the listeners more.
Yeah, because people are asking.
Yes, but it's all in a state of flux. Even though there was originally $280 million set aside for these programs, as of now, they are out of money. As of now, out of money.
How can that be?
May it be $280 million goes fast. $280 million don't buy you.
Don't I know it?
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's not a lot of money. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the websites up on the board. Keep an eye on their websites for any possible changes. Again, because of the new budget getting passed, this could flip-flop very quickly in the upcoming future. So we're going to put up the websites. And again, I urge everybody, take a look at this. The first one is www.mysafeflhome.com. Again, that's if you're in a HOA. MySafeFlHome.com. Great. And if you live in a condo, MySafeFlCondo.com. But if any listeners know something I don't about any of these programs or any county programs, now just because the state programs may not be out of money, there are county programs out there too. And you certainly want to get in touch with your local county office and find out if there's any programs that they have in effect that may grant mitigation credits or even money to help repair your damaged condominium or damaged homes. That we couldn't give you on this show because there's 63 counties or so in the state of Florida. 67. Sorry, 67. Thanks, Karen, for correcting me on that in front of everybody. Anyway, let's hear what our listeners like to say. If you want to chime in, certainly on what happened last night, love to hear it. Doesn't always have to be just about condos. We can go off condos a little bit. Love to hear what American citizens think about what happened last night.
It was a big deal.
Right?
Can you imagine?
100%. But if you have something to say, give us a call here in the studio. 717-GLAZER-8. Again, that's 717-GLAZER-8. 717-452-9378. Drop us a question or comment in the chat box on the Condo Craze channel on YouTube. We'll be back right after this.
are very large management companies and there are very small management companies. And I think Affinity sits somewhere in the middle of that, where they are big enough to provide you with all of the back of the house services, the accounting, the infrastructure, the support systems, but small enough to be high touch.
We believe at Affinity that we do the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to do that.
Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel. Yes, I remembered my glasses. But welcome back.
Alex.
Yeah, so give us a call, 717-GLAZER-8, 717-452-9378.
All right, we got Javier in the studio with us today.
Robert is
out.
killing it.
He is doing great so far. Javier, how about we go to the phones, take our first call.
Awesome. All right, so for the first one, I'm just going to go ahead and drop them in.
Who do we got?
All right, so you are live with HOAs, Condo Craze and HOAs. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and what's your question?
Good morning. This is Julia from Hallandale.
Hey, Julia.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Eric.
Good morning.
You have your hair up. That's nice.
Thank you.
I have a question. It's a little dull, but it's about the official records. When do they become official records? An example is meeting agenda is posted on the website, and then it's removed. Is that a destruction of the record? Or
Yeah, why
is that
would it be
allowed?
removed from the website once it's posted? I don't get that.
It becomes official once it's done, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly once
They decide to change the meeting date and the agenda, so they just hide it out. and
Well, if
post
there's
a
a-
new
if-
meeting agenda.
Well, if there's an amendment to that agenda and that agenda is no longer the proper agenda, I think it would be misleading to actually leave it up there. You can actually wind up telling people incorrect information. So I wouldn't want to leave a notice of a meeting that actually has been rescheduled up on the website. I think that, again, that could possibly be misleading. You know, people showing up to a meeting that's not taking place.
So if the document is posted on the website, it can be removed.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if
it's incorrect.
Yes, if it's incorrect, I would say certainly it could be removed. It's suppose you put up a policy, an insurance policy, that's for the wrong condominium,
Right.
right? Certainly that you can remove that. Yeah, but if it's an irrelevant document now, I would think certainly you could remove it.
It may have been
Absolutely.
official, but if it's incorrect, it's no longer official.
Yeah, you know, no question. I think something can be removed once it's up there. It just depends what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
And a second quick question is, when the minutes are not being posted on the website, so there has been an N number of meetings and N minus 50% number of minutes, what can one do to encourage the board to keep up with the minutes on the website?
You know, look, the DBPR for condominiums has jurisdiction over these matters. And the only thing I can tell you is that I've represented a condo before that has gotten in serious trouble with the DBPR for failing to upkeep the website with the official records. They have to pay thousands. Yeah, so you know, I'm not telling you to get the condo in trouble. What I'm telling you is that the obligation to upkeep the website with official records is something that the DBPR takes very seriously. Okay, there's definitely an obligation to do it.
And if the board doesn't do it, would that constitute the failure of fiduciary?
I think there is a fiduciary obligation to upkeep the website. No two ways about it. And yes, failing
Great.
to keep it updated, failing to keep the unit owners advised as to what's going on. Certainly, that's a breach of fiduciary duty. You can argue.
So therefore, if the condo is fined and has to pay a number of thousands of dollars, can that be switched and the board members made to cover that fee because
No,
they failed?
No,
there's
you're
an
paying for it.
Yeah, you're paying for it. There's an indemnification clause in every single set of bylaws. You can pretty much guarantee. It's very, very rare that it doesn't exist in there. So
But the fiduciary thinks she's right. If they know that they did it and
yeah,
they didn't put it
there,
up.
but there's that language. There's always that indemnification language. So it's very rare, extremely rare, that directors can get hit in their individual capacity to pay
So
for
really
things.
not a deterrent.
In a sense, you can argue it's not a deterrent because there's that indemnification language, unless they've done something that is so clearly intentional,
Right.
right? That it could be argued that the indemnification language shouldn't cover them because it's an intentional act. But that's pretty hard to prove. So, but remember, members of the board would never run, would never serve on
If
the board
they
of directors if there was no indemnification
Yeah.
language. You'd have to be nutso, all right? You have to be crazy. It's just for board members out there. You want to make sure that that indemnification language exists, and you want to make sure that that policy, that D&O policy exists, because if it doesn't, get off the board today.
Immediately.
Yes, exactly.
Because they'll find you guilty and as
Exactly.
charged for everything that goes wrong.
Exactly, even if you are doing a good
That's
job.
right.
Hey, thanks for the call, Julia. We got to keep going.
Thanks.
Thank
Who
you.
else we got?
Alrighty, so next, give me one moment and we'll bring you up. Caller, when you hear the beep, you are live.
And your name and
All
where
right,
you're
this
calling
is
from?
Boaz.
Boaz, how are you?
Boaz from Boca Raton.
Good morning.
Very good. Love your show and
Thank
love your
you.
seminars even more. I've been
Thank
to
you so
two of
much.
them.
Appreciate
Encourage
it.
everyone to go.
Thank you.
I've sent certified mail requests to review records from our homeowners association 4 times. The first mailing was returned to my address by the postman saying, no, I didn't receive his message directly, but it was something to the effect that he was unable to deliver the envelope. Second request was not honored. An email was sent to me from the property manager asking for more specificity. And I've not consented to receipt of electronic communications. Third request was answered, but all documents requested was not provided. The fourth request, this was interesting, was answered again with an email stating, your request for documents was received by our management company and held for days before being forwarded to the board of directors. This delay in addressing your request has caused the allowable time to furnish documents to expire. We kindly ask that you allow us to gather the information and contact you when all is available. That was June 9th that I received that. I still haven't received a single record. What would my first step be in resolving
Well, you only
this
sent
issue?
requests 4 times. I think the statute says you got to send it 5 times.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, I think, 5. No, it's a joke. I'm kidding.
Good
yeah,
Lord.
I know,
you
it's
sent
just
it
2
enough
times.
times. You sent it enough times. And obviously you're getting the runaround. That's what it clearly seems. So what you can do now, the statute does say that you can go to pre-suit mediation in an HOA. That's something you can do. Don't believe you have the right to go to court right off the bat, but you'd have to start out in pre-suit mediation. And that's something I would start immediately. There's a certain form letter that you have to use, and you can find it in the 720 statute. And you can just, you know what, ChatGPT will point you to it right at this point. Just,
Yeah,
what do you need a damn
I'm
lawyer
familiar
for?
with that. I've been to
You're using it all the time. I
You're
love
right.
it.
Just go, I need the pre-suit mediation letter for Florida HOAs,
And it'll
and I
give it to
bet
you.
you it'll pop up. And in that letter, you have to advise the HOA why you want to go to pre-suit mediation, what your case is about.
Don't let it write it for you because it might not be right.
That's
Yes.
true. And you have to choose 5 mediators, and you got to list their rates.
And you're one
Okay?
of them, right?
Yes, you can. Yes, I'm one of the mediators that people oftentimes choose. And you got to send it out to them, certified mail, return receipt requested.
What if they don't answer that one?
Then, okay, now you can wind up filing suit, right?
Okay, now you don't even go to
And-
mediation.
Well, right, but here's the penalty that they get for failing to go to mediation, okay? So typically, if the parties litigate in court, the winner gets attorney's fees, right? But now, because the HOA failed to go to mediation with you, even if they win in court, they would
still-
normally get attorney's fees. Now they don't. That's the penalty
So
against
if
them.
they ignore you
So-
again,
right.
it's win-win.
Yeah, it really is. Okay?
Okay.
So that's how you want to go.
Thank you very much.
You got it, Boaz.
By the
All
way,
right, very good.
Deborah
Yeah.
is saying townhouses need to be under COA laws. condo laws, aren't they?
Townhouses could be either way, really. Townhouses,
If you're an
you have a lot
HOA
of communities, right, where they're HOAs.
Or yeah,
And Brian, my brother-in-law, for example, lives in a townhouse community, but it's condos.
interesting.
It's very interesting, right?
So
you know, it
George
can really go either
Molnar
way. Yes.
on the Open, 'cause
Yes.
you opened up about the attack on Iran's nuclear. He
Yes.
says Bernie Sanders and AOC are on their oligarchy tour.
Right.
Which are the chances, or what are the chances that AOC even knows what an oligarchy is? To which I say,
Well, yeah.
she majored in economics where at Boston U or
Yeah,
whatever.
I think so, right.
She thinks that the Laffer Curve is a comedy club. So
I don't know what it is, but here's what I do know. She should worry about her district a little more.
yeah,
Because I know Roosevelt Avenue is right next to Shea Stadium. That's why I know it so well. It's become a haven
really.
for prostitutes and drugs, and the people
Good
that live
job
in the
there,
community
AOC.
say maybe she needs to stop worrying less about Washington and more about Queens. But let's not even go there. Who else we got on the phones?
Alrighty, so we got Patty from Palmetto Bay.
Hey, Patty.
I'll bring her in now. You are live.
Hi, Patty.
Hi, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I live in a townhouse community that's HOA,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
we have over 100 homes.
Okay.
And the board did not properly notice a meeting that was very important because it dealt with lot issues, what you can do outside the back part of your home, whether it be temporary fences or patios. And I'm wondering what can be done since they did not properly notice this meeting. Is there any teeth?
Well, let's say somebody has now violated those provisions that they adopted at that meeting. If that meeting wasn't properly noticed, they're going to have an impossible time enforcing those provisions that they adopted. So, quite frankly, it's in their best interest. What's the big deal to simply renotice it? It's in
Right.
their best interest to do so. This shouldn't really be something that there should be a fight over. If it was done,
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
The president is the one who wants the patios, and they pushed through getting patios in a resolution,
okay,
which they can do based on our governing documents.
okay,
So the patios now are going to start going in, which is pretty ridiculous. And the homeowners, a large majority of the homeowners, don't want this to occur. But we have no way of stopping it, right?
I don't know. That's impossible for me to tell you without looking at your documents. Sometimes, like I always say, people call in and they want answers
You
to
want them
questions.
to call in and read their documents
That's
to
true.
you?
Call in only for 20 minutes. Only for 20 minutes. You have a 20-minute limit on
And
reading
go.
your documents, right? Right. So I can't answer certain questions without seeing your documents. All I know is, generally speaking, when something's passed incorrectly, there shouldn't be a fight about passing it correctly. I don't know why some boards fight back on that, because if it was done incorrectly and they're challenged and they lose, then what do they accomplish? It's simply giving another 48-hour notice. What's the big deal? But, I'd be glad to talk to you during the week on that issue. But that way I can at least take a look at your governing documents. Okay, you need help off the air, anybody, 954-983-1112. Again, 954-983-1112. Who else we got, Javier?
And one last question on this.
Yes, really quick.
Does a 48-hour notice also include a sign posted in the ground? Do you have to have a sign?
Every meeting has to be posted, yes. So, if that's what
But-
you're asking me, yeah, it's got to be posted in a conspicuous place. So I don't know if in the
Does an
ground,
agenda
6
on
feet
a-
under is appropriate. I don't know what you're asking me, but it needs to be in a conspicuous place. That's what the
Does
statute
an
requires.
agenda on a bulletin board
Yeah,
count as a posting?
The agenda needs to be posted as well. That wasn't always the case for HOAs, but it is now. So that notice has to include the agenda. Okay?
So-
Hope that answers your question.
Bostic-
Javier,
Mike-
go to the next
Yeah,
call,
get
please.
them lined up, and I'll say, Mike Bostic, can a president paint the roads without a board approval and a condominium spend $92,000?
Again, all depends upon what
Yeah.
your documents say.
Who's painting the roads? Is it a city situation?
Right, I don't even know if you own the roads,
Yeah,
right? And some
exactly.
HOAs, the city owns the road, right? Where I live, HOA,
Yeah.
city owns the road.
Right.
Where I used to live, a different HOA, the HOA owned the road.
They
A
just
lot of people
repainted
don't
our
even know
roads.
that that's how it works.
Yeah. It's,
Right?
It's
But
nice.
in an HOA, it's different from HOA to HOA as to who owned the roads.
Okay,
And
so if they own the roads and they painted them and spent 92 grand, should they have gotten permission?
Not if it's
Board
a maintenance
approval.
issue, probably not. No, the board has the right to make maintenance decisions all the time. That's in their business
Especially on the
judgment
common
role.
elements.
Yes, with the common
Right,
elements, the
okay.
common areas that they own, absolutely. That's
Okay.
a board decision. You know, every single time boards have the right to make decisions regarding maintenance of the community, subject to the business judgment rule. Anybody challenging that, you're going to lose. Okay? Real quick, one more before we go to the bottom of the hour break.
All right, so we got Lisa from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Lisa.
You are live.
Yes, thank you for everything you do. My name is
Thank
Lisa, Fort Lauderdale, and a Condo.
Thank you so much.
Our fiscal year for our budget is March to April. We get our notice what our monthly maintenance is going to be, and this is something new they've done. I don't know why, but all of a sudden, 2 months later, we're told there's a shortfall on the insurance because they do our insurance May to May. I don't know why they can't line it up. I guess they can't change the fiscal year for the budget. The insurance company won't change theirs. I do not know why they can't estimate it. My reason for concern is it kind of gives a false picture of what our monthly maintenance is. Because if I want to sell my apartment, I'll say to the new people, this is what the monthly maintenance is. And then a couple months later, then they say, oh, there's a shortfall because we have to pay the insurance for that year, May to May. So I don't know from an accounting standpoint how we can line it up. Can't they estimate it and put it in with the budget? Or I've never heard of anything.
I think
like
they
this.
can estimate it, and I don't know, why they're not. Maybe their insurance agent at the time of making the budget didn't tell them one way or the other if it's going to be more expensive or less expensive for the coming year. And why do I say that? For the last couple of years, I've been saying that obviously it's going to be more expensive going forward, right? Well, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Now what we're hearing for the first time is, believe it or not, because there's been some competition brought into the market for the first time in a long time, rates have actually gone down. I think on my home, for example, I think it actually went down a few $100s this year.
Yeah,
it's happening for the first
it's
time.
It's true. A lot of them, they're either they're stable or they've gone down.
Right,
and that's because of the new laws that they had, where you can't sue, and they gave them a bone, and so that more companies came in.
So maybe they could be getting better information from the insurance agent before they did their budget, and figuring out if it's going to get higher or lower. Certainly, they should be able to have some sort of an educated guess before making the budget.
Yes.
And if they can't
you
get
are
that,
correct.
yeah. But I don't know why they can't come a little closer. But if they hold on, and if it turns out being more or even less expensive for that matter, they have the right to amend the budget as well. They don't have to stick with the same budget. They have a lot of different choices. They can pass a special assessment for the difference. They could amend the budget, a couple of different ways that they could play with that. But perhaps they should be getting, better information from the agent. Okay?
Okay, I think you're correct. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Javier, let's do this. Let's go to our bottom of the hour break. Keep the calls coming in, 717-452-9378, or drop us a question or comment in the chat box. We'll be back right after this.
Roomkiss Consultants offer the professional expertise to help condominium and cooperative communities provide safe, compliant buildings for their tenants. We have more than 170 Florida licensed engineers and architects who are experienced with local regulations and can assist with Senate Bill 4D compliance. We can help with milestone structural inspections, capital expenditure evaluations, structural integrity reserve studies, and developer transition reports. Focusing on energy, resilience, maintainability, and sustainability, our experts can help with every phase of the building life cycle. Contact us for inspections, building restoration, repair and remediation consulting, or mitigation after a catastrophic event.
All over the world, people have plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc., where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new by means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion, or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
So welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel. We're halfway through. Don't forget to give us a call, 717-GLAZER-8. And you can also ask us a question in the chat box. Someone's saying, hey, is this last week's show? I'm wearing my glasses. First of all, I forgot them last week. Secondly, Iran still doesn't have any nuclear power plants.
So it's definitely not the last week's show. No, it's last week's. For this week's show, you're going to have to tune in next week. Right. Okay. How about some other questions here from the board? Our condo's governing documents were filed in 2002 without Kaufman language. If we revise them in 2025 without Kaufman language, will 2002 or 2025 law apply to us? Good question, Linda. But that depends on exactly what you are revising. So if you're still leaving Kaufman language out, then the new laws won't apply except for those amendments maybe that you are making to your governing documents. I would need to know what those amendments say, but if you're still not bringing Kaufman language into the mix, then no, you're not necessarily coming into play with the new statutes.
Which is as amended from time to time.
Right. If you're not doing that, then no, you're not coming into compliance with the 2025 statutes. Except some of the amendments that you're making, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what your amendments say. Let's see. Look at this. George writes in. Did you say this already? The bunker bombs are named Archie and Meathead. I think that's funny.
And CENTCOM, that was out of Tampa. That's the outfit that sent the package, the fighter package.
Let's go back to the phones. Who do we got? How are you?
Alrighty. So we got Joe from Jensen Beach.
Hey, Joe.
And he is live right now.
Yes.
Hey, Joe.
Yes. Good morning, Eric and Karen.
Hey. Good morning.
A couple weeks ago, you mentioned about condos, and you mentioned that you could actually lower your quarterly payments by doing replacing your roof. How does that work?
No, what I was talking about in the beginning of the program, perhaps, was the Florida Condo program that gives you mitigation credits, wind mitigation credits, if you make certain repairs to your property, which may include making repairs to your roof, right? Someone comes by, inspects the property, and if you make all these wind mitigation credits changes, you get wind mitigation credits, which may lower the cost on your insurance, and the state of Florida would help you chip in with you for that. Right now, that program is on hold, okay? That being said, however, obviously putting on a new roof would certainly should lower your insurance premiums. Number two, so should if the building all of a sudden went from old windows to new windows. You know, you have old shoddy windows on the building, and then all of a sudden the board says, or the unit owners vote for all new hurricane impact resistant windows.
And any window that has to be replaced to be.
Every window. And by the way, it's a good point. You won't get that break if there's any window not replaced.
Oh God.
Okay? You're only going to get it if there can't be potentially for a wind to break a window in a vacuum.
And then the whole thing comes from it's your fault.
So yes, if you replace all the windows in a building, you will save on your insurance as well. Okay? Javier, back to the phones. Who else?
Okay. One more question, please.
Really quick.
Okay. We got a new board in February, and only one of them is taking a certification course. how long will the paperwork they sign be effective?
So a board member has 90 days from the time they get on the board to become certified. If they don't get certified, they are automatically off the board. So I don't know how long they've been on the board, but they got 90 days once they're on to get certified. If not, they're gone.
But then they can get certified and be back on.
Right, exactly. Then they'd have to get certified really fast by taking that educational class, and then they can get back on.
So
Okay.
the paperwork they signed from the property manager.
I don't know what they
doesn't hold
signed.
any
That's
The
water.
affidavit?
maybe they just signed that affidavit that
Doesn't
said
work
I've read my
anymore.
governing documents. That's not enough anymore. That used to be enough.
Okay.
But now you have to actually take an educational class. Okay?
All right.
That's a
Thank
good
you very
question
Thank you
because
so much.
invented it and
That's
started
true.
it, and now it's a law.
And enjoys teaching it, most
it's your
importantly.
legacy.
Absolutely. Javier, who do we got?
Alrighty, so we've got Ralph. I'm throwing him in right now, and you are live.
How are you, Ralph?
Yes, thank you. I live in Kings Point in Tamarack,
Okay.
and the question is this. Can anyone purchase a unit if they are under 55?
Yes, good question. So people get that whole 55 and over rule confused all the time.
As long as one person, right?
The age of the owner is irrelevant. The owner could be 18 years of age. It doesn't make a damn difference how old the owner is. The only thing that makes a difference in a 55 and over community is occupancy, not the age of the owner. There has to be at least one person age 55 and over occupying the unit. Not owning the unit, occupying the unit. It's irrelevant.
And if Kings Point doesn't do a census,
Yes, a census at least
time,
every 2 years,
then
making
you're
sure. That's correct. There has to be a census at least once every 2 years showing that all the units, or at least 80% of the units, are occupied, not owned, because ownership doesn't make a damn bit of a difference. You have to take a census that at least 80% of the units are occupied by at least one person age 55 or over. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Well, you did for one thing and about the 80%. Now, is that just for consensus? In other words, they only have to show that 80% follows that rule?
Right.
Does that mean that less than someone who isn't 55 can live in there if they don't pass the 80% rule or whatever
so
the
the
case may be?
80% number is a floor. So an association what qualifies an association as housing for older persons, as a 55 and over community, is that the minimum number of units in the community have to be 80% occupied by someone 55 or over. Now, it does not necessarily mean that, let's say you're at 90%. And someone says, you know what, my home, it's not going to be occupied by someone age 55 or over, and you're still going to be above 80%. So I can do that, right? And the answer is no, that depends upon the rules of your community. Okay, it does not necessarily mean that you automatically get to move people in there where there will not be someone age 55 or over living in there. It means that gap between 80% and 100%, that's decided about how your community wants to handle it. So not everybody's the same. A lot of communities are, sorry, we're shooting for 100%. Some communities are, well, no, as long as we're at the 80% number, we don't mind playing around with the other 20%. Okay?
I got you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ralph.
Javier, let's do this. Let's take our final break of the hour. Take the calls, keep the calls coming into the last second. 717-452-9378. Do not get shut out. 717-452-9378. Back right after this.
In South Florida, the transition from bright sunshine to heavy rain and hurricanes can take a toll on your property's exterior and structural integrity. Cracked stucco, spalled concrete, they're more than eyesores. They can signal deeper issues. Now, with new Florida laws involving structural integrity requirements, we want to help you meet your milestone inspections and maintain the durability and beauty of your building. Since 2004, PD has been the trusted expert in structural concrete restoration, painting, and waterproofing for condominiums and commercial properties. Visit pd-concrete.com or call us today.
Life is full of steps. We learn to take small steps and big steps. We take steps toward adventure to discover what's next. At South State, helping you take each step is what inspires us to keep moving forward, so you can keep enjoying what's next in your life. This is banking at its best. This is banking forward.
We are DMI Paving and Seal Coating, Florida's parking lot experts. We specialize in asphalt paving and repair, including pothole repair, seal coating using JC7 or polytar, concrete curbs, ramps, and walkways, and striping and pavement marking, as well as ADA compliance. We service commercial properties, including homeowners associations, apartment communities, shopping malls, warehouses, stadiums and arenas, and more. Experience is worth more than anything in an industry like ours, and our staff has decades of it. We have specialized equipment for any job, regardless of size, saving you time and money. DMI has a reputable history. We have been in business since 1956. We serve the state of Florida from 6 locations. Let us bid on your next parking lot project. Visit us online at dmipavingandsealcoating.com.
Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on our YouTube channel. This is our last break, so don't wait to call in. We're going to do rapid fire, 1 question each, because we've got a bunch of people on the phone.
You know what? Let's just ask one question from the chat box. Eddie Martinez writes in, can a new owner with, I guess, a laundering money conviction from 10 years ago from an outside state join the board of directors? So it becomes looked at this way. Would that have been a conviction in the state of Florida? If the answer is yes, then we have to find out whether or not that person's civil rights have been restored. If it's a felony conviction, by the way, was that person's civil rights restored for the last 5 years? If it was, yes, then they're allowed to get back on the board. If it was not, then they're not allowed to get back on the board.
And they can't be treasurer.
Right, exactly. You might not want to make them the treasurer. That was a good one. It's oftentimes difficult, though. How do you find out if a person's civil rights were restored?
Yes.
You
A
know?
lot of, I'd rather just not touch it.
Yeah. I mean, were they able, excuse me, were they able to vote? If they were able to vote, typically that means their rights were restored, but oftentimes very hard.
We had a situation where an attorney who was disbarred because he was taken from, you know how you all get the money in the trust, what's it called?
I told you that in confidence, by the way. Yes.
For taking his client's money.
Yes.
He wanted to join the board. He was not allowed.
He was not allowed.
But he was never convicted.
Well, when you say he wasn't allowed, did the unit owners not want to vote for him? Or because it could be that. Then maybe
he could have, though.
Yeah, but he could have, right. If he didn't have a felony conviction,
no, he didn't.
Then yes.
Yeah.
Then he could be.
Just because he was disbarred is not a reason.
Correct. Exactly right. Back to the phones.
Alrighty. So we've got a call from Sarasota. You are live.
Hi.
Okay, Sarasota. Who do we got?
Over there.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Eric. My name is Olaf.
How are you, Olaf?
I'm well. Good. I'm a newly licensed CAM. This is my first property.
Good for you.
Thank you. Timeshare.
I don't know timeshares, but we'll give it a shot.
Okay. Thank you. So the board is seeking a new bulk cable provider.
Yes.
They had one come in, and that provider needs the official declaration of or filing of timeshare. Our declaration of condominiums will not do.
Olaf. Hold on, Olaf.
Yes.
Buddy, friend, I don't want to dissuade you in any way from being a CAM for timeshares, but, I'm telling the world out there, you got to be, one thing, you got to, as an attorney, you got to be honest with people.
Yeah,
and you got to tell somebody what you don't know.
I have no frame of reference on timeshares.
It's like, you go to the knee doctor and he's got to tell you, I can't operate on your heart, right? You just can't do it. Right. So the truth, maybe I've represented one timeshare in my entire 32 years.
Do they still exist?
They still exist. Yes. There's a lot. Florida statute 723, right, Olaf? I think it's 723. But What I don't
Correct.
know, I'm not smart enough by any stretch of the imagination to give you advice on timeshares. I regret that, but you know, I would. You sound like a great guy. If you called me during the week, I will take my time out and I will try to answer the question for you. Me and you searching through the statute together. How about that?
That sounds great.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for taking my call.
You got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next call.
All right. Have a great.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so we've got Nicholas over here. He is live right now.
He better not ask me like a nuclear physics question because I'm going to deny that too. Next to us, we got Nicholas.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for the show. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank Nicholas.
Hello, guys.
Yes, thank
Good
you so
morning.
much. How can I help you?
I have two questions. One question is about the new law to check if that was signed. And then I heard that a part of the bill means that board members cannot approve anymore any special assessment if that is regarding the search. Owners move to vote. Is that true?
No, that's not true at all. Absolutely. It's really the reverse. It's made it much easier now for board members to borrow money and to do whatever they need to do to make sure that the reserves are funded. Now they can even borrow money to the association can borrow money.
It's talking about the SIRS, which
Yeah,
is the
right.
safety
To fund
integrity.
Integrity to the special integrity reserve study. Right. So yes, it's now even easier.
Yeah, because in the bill. Okay, because in the bill, I'm reading here, and they say that if it's regarding the search, the board members can move to have owners vote.
If the
Only
vote,
search, but
the
yeah,
vote,
you're right.
hold on, the vote comes into play. The vote comes into play if the board wants to borrow the money to fund the reserve accounts. Okay, that's when the vote comes into play.
Okay, borrowing the money.
Yes, but other than that, no, the board has an obligation to fund the reserve accounts. If it's a building that's 3 stories or more, and the reserve accounts are required in that building. Okay.
And no, the governor has not signed the bill.
Isn't it amazing? Wonder why. Wonder why it still has not been signed. It's
Well,
been
he's got-
presented. The difference between this week and last week we're saying it wasn't even
On
presented
his
to the
desk,
governor.
okay.
Right, now it's on his desk.
Well, now he's got the budget.
Right,
and
there's a
he's
lot
got
on
that-
his desk, right.
Yeah. He's got his line item veto, too.
So the way I understand it, it's 15 days that it could sit on his desk. If he does nothing, it becomes law automatically. Okay. So the only way it doesn't become law is if he vetoes it.
Okay.
Do I think he's going to veto it?
see, okay.
No, I don't think he's going to veto
So
it.
it may become law anyway, but the budget he has
Correct.
to sign by July 1st.
Got it. Okay. Does that answer your question?
I have just one more question.
Yeah.
Yes, one more. Is that right that at the board, we have here 9 board members, and they try to avoid quorum, but they don't inform us. I'm also part of the board. 4 board members, they do meetings, and the excuse that they don't invite us, they are because they say they want to avoid quorum. Is that legal?
There's nothing that says it's illegal, right? So that happens all the time and the fights break out about this all the time. So let's say you have a board of 5, right? And 3 deliberately won't show up to the meeting because...
Oh, for quorum?
Yeah, for quorum purposes. So you don't get a quorum. And, this happens a lot.
It happens in government, too.
Yeah, exactly. It certainly does.
Yeah.
I can tell you that in situations I've been in with government, that does happen. So is it legal? There's nothing that says it's illegal. All of a sudden people get magically ill, right?
Or
At
they're
the last
stuck in
second, Or they're
traffic.
stuck in traffic, right? And they just could not get there today. And yeah, this happens all the time.
But with Zoom,
Yeah, right.
you can Zoom on your phone.
You can have Zoom on your phone, right? That's true too, right? But again, is there anything in the statute that says the board members, must attend? There's nothing that actually says that, believe it or not. So, is it potentially a breach of your fiduciary duty not to attend the board meetings? It probably is. I think if board meetings are scheduled, you should be attending them.
But you won't get paid if you don't show up.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, it's a difficult question to answer. Certainly, if board meetings are scheduled, yes, they should be attending. If you don't like something, you could vote against it. But You shouldn't be holding your association hostage by failing to attend board meetings. It's like, grow up. If you don't like something, then vote against it. But there's going to be things that happen in a condo that one day you're not going to like, the next day someone else is not going to like. But show up, do your job.
Yeah.
You want to vote against it, fine.
Yeah.
But what do you, if someone doesn't show up, what can you do? You can vote against them. You can try to recall them if they're not going to be a big boy and girl and attend the meetings. Or you can vote against them the next time they decide to run and remind everybody what they did the first time
Good
around.
idea. Yeah, this guy
Okay.
doesn't show up.
Yeah. Okay?
All right.
Thanks for the call.
So much, guys.
You got it, buddy.
Thank you.
Next call. Who do we got?
Alrighty, so we've got Joanna, and she is live right now.
Hey,
Joanna, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
How can we help?
I'm calling about a condominium in Miami-Dade, and I wanted to find out how exactly does the board have to post the reserves, or if they're going, when they're going to have the reserves and how much they're going to be.
So the reserves should be included when they send out your budget. So let's say, your budget gets adopted in January of every year. Typically that budget goes out like in November, right? And when a budget goes out to everybody in November, that budget must include fully funded reserves. And are you in how tall is your building?
It's 5 stories.
5 stories. So did I say special before? It's got to have structural integrity reserves. Structural integrity reserves. And so it's got to show reserves for everything.
That's a study. But I mean, the exact amount and how much
yes,
someone would have, because I'm looking to sell it.
Okay.
So I want to post that on my listing.
Okay. Yes, it's got to show.
I'm also the agent.
Okay. Yes,
luck on
it's
that.
got to show the reserves. It's got to show exactly what your assessment would be going forward each and every month, including reserves. But because and this is why I asked you, because your building is 5 stories or more, that budget must include structural integrity reserves, and it cannot be waived. Okay?
And any loans you'll take out.
You mean the structural reserve?
I'm talking about the reserves for things like your roof, right? The pavement and painting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Anything that relates to the structure and integrity of the building cannot be waived. Those laws came into effect as a result of the tragedy in Surfside, right? And since your building is 3 stories or tall, they have to go into your reserve every year. So that can't be waived. That's why it's got to go into your budget when it gets mailed out to everybody in November.
What are the...
Go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah. What are the items that what items have to be in the SIR?
So there's a list of about 9-10
or the
items.
structural reserve.
Yeah, and we said it a million
9 or
times on
10.
the show. Yeah, I'm not going to name all 9 or 10 right now.
I'm
but
sorry.
That's okay. But it's plumbing, it's electrical, it's waterproofing and painting.
I know the roof and
It's
the
the
elevator.
roof, right? And elevators are not included in there 'cause
Electrical.
it doesn't have to electrical, plumbing, etc.
No?
Yes, electrical,
good.
plumbing, yes. And a bunch of things have to go in there, again, that have to do with the safety and the structural integrity of the building. All of those have to be factored in there.
So
And
what?
really quick, one more line, and then we got to take another call.
Because Skippy's like, what is going
so,
on?
So all of this has to be in the budget.
Correct. Right. You should know what you're
Not a
paying in
separate
about
document.
November, okay? For the year coming up.
Let us know if you sell it. That'll be
Okay,
interesting.
perfect.
Another
Thank
person
you.
who wants to sell their
Okay.
condo. Go
Yeah, let me
figure.
know if you sell it.
Okay, you know what? We still got some stuff to talk about, so let's end it on that note, okay?
Okay.
Why? Because we got to tell everybody that we're taking a 2-week break, okay? So we won't be here next week. We won't be here the week after, a little summer vacation, right? So we'll see you in 3 weeks from now. But if you need legal help off the air, you can give Glazer and Sachs a call 954-983-1112. Again, 954-983-1112. So what do you think? What kind of job did Javier did today? Wow, fantastic.
You're the
Robert, if you're
bomb,
listening,
Jav.
you might want to look for a different job. Kidding, Rob.
No.
Take it easy. He did.
Someone said they didn't get the reminder link.
Right, but Javier was great. Javier was great. Fantastic. Way to go. Good job today.
Thank you.
And to everybody out there, for the next 2-3 weeks, have a wonderful, safe week. Thanks for all the calls. Thanks for all the wonderful comments you give Karen and I each week. It is much appreciated. Keeps the energy going, right?
Oh,
Keeps us wanting to wake up on a Sunday morning.
Oh, we love it.
Thank you. Absolutely. We love it. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And again, we'll see you in 3 weeks. Be good, everybody.